From the earliest years of your life, there were subtle but clear signs that you were different. Perhaps, instead of blending easily with other children, you were drawn to moments of solitude, not because you were shy or reserved, but because there was something in you that sought more depth. As others played, you found yourself observing the world around you with a closer eye, noticing details that went unnoticed by others. Do you remember those days when you were simply fascinated by the movement of clouds in the sky, the shadows of trees swaying in the wind, or the soft sound of running water? These moments were not just part of a common childhood curiosity, they reflected a greater sensitivity. It was as if you were connected to the rhythm of nature in a different way, feeling the energy of the world on a deeper level. This connection to nature was one of the first signs that you were attuned to something greater, something that went beyond the immediate perception of others. Perhaps, from an early age, you also noticed that you felt more emotionally connected to the people around you. It could be a friend who was sad or a family member worried about something, and even without fully understanding it, you knew something was wrong. This level of empathy was unusual among children his age. While others went on unconcerned with the feelings around you, you felt the weight of other people's emotions as if they were your own. This kind of emotional sensitivity is one of the first signs that your soul was connected to a larger mission, one that involved not only your own growth, but also the ability to help and heal others. In childhood, many chosen ones remember moments of deep intuition, even if they didn't know how to name them at the time. It could be that feeling that something was about to happen, a change in the environment, or a decision that needed to be made, and without knowing exactly why, you knew what to do. These moments of clarity came as flashes, and you probably thought everyone experienced the same. However, these instincts, this ability to sense what was coming, were clear signs that there was something special about you. Another important sign that many chosen ones report since childhood is the feeling of being protected in risky situations. Perhaps you narrowly escaped impending dangers, such as accidents, or felt an inexplicable urge to avoid a path that you later discovered to be dangerous. These moments, which could easily be attributed to luck, were actually evidence that you were being protected from an early age. It may have been a day when, for some reason, you decided not to leave the house and then heard that something bad happened in the place where you were going. These instincts were not coincidences, but manifestations that his life was being carefully guided and protected. Often, the chosen ones feel disconnected from others, even in childhood. Maybe you felt like you didn't fully fit into your group of friends or that your concerns were different from those of other children. While they were preoccupied with play and games, you might find yourself thinking about deeper things, such as the purpose of life or the meaning of certain events. This kind of early reflection is another clear sign that you were already connected to something bigger since childhood. You may also remember times when animals seemed to act differently around you. Many chosen ones report that as children, they had a special connection with animals. Maybe dogs were calmer next to you or birds seemed to get closer to you than to other people. These moments, while small and seemingly insignificant at the time, were signs that there was something in his energy that the beings around him were noticing. They felt your presence and knew that there was peace and harmony in you, which attracted them. As you grew older, these signs continued to manifest even more clearly. In adolescence, for example, you may have started to notice that your intuitions were getting stronger. Maybe you knew what someone was thinking or feeling before you even spoke, or maybe you had the feeling that something important was about to happen, even without any concrete evidence of it. These intuitions, which had been more subtle in childhood, were now becoming part of his everyday life. You began to realize that there was a connection between what you felt and what was happening in the world around you. Another clear sign that many chosen ones experience during adolescence is the feeling of not fitting into the conventional molds. It may be that while your friends were concerned with trivial things like fashion or social events, you were more interested in discovering deeper truths. Perhaps he was drawn to spiritual, philosophical, or even mystical topics, seeking answers to questions that most people his age never considered. This search for meaning, for something beyond what the material world could offer, was a clear reflection that his soul was on a much deeper and more meaningful journey. That feeling of not belonging, of being disconnected from the superficial concerns around you, was further evidence that you had a higher purpose. These fights serve to shape you in a unique way. You start to connect the dots between your past experiences and the intuition that has always guided you, and it all starts to make more sense. One of the first signs that many chosen ones notice in adult life is the clarity that comes after moments of great turbulence. It may be that you have gone through a personal crisis, such as a breakup, the loss of a loved one, or even a major professional failure, and in the midst of the pain, something has begun to emerge within you. This crisis was not only an obstacle in the way, but an opportunity to wake up to a new reality. When it seemed that the ground had been lifted from under your feet, it was at that moment that you realized the strength you carried within you, a strength that you may not have known existed before. Many chosen ones, when facing these crises in adulthood, feel a deep call to something greater. It may be that after going through this phase of great pain or confusion, you have begun to question even more deeply the meaning of life and your role in the world. The questions that arose in childhood and intensified in adolescence now become even more urgent. What once seemed like a search for superficial answers, now turns into a genuine spiritual journey, and you realize that you are no longer seeking answers outside of yourself, but that true wisdom is within you. This awakening in adulthood is often accompanied by a series of coincidences or synchronicities that become impossible to ignore. Maybe you started noticing repeating patterns around you, numbers that appeared frequently, unexpected encounters with people that seemed to guide you to the next step, or even events that lined up almost magically. These synchronicities are clear signs that you are on the right path and that the universe is conspiring to get you exactly where you need to be. Another sign that many chosen ones experience in adulthood is the feeling of becoming increasingly disconnected from society's expectations. It may be that over the years, you have followed the conventional path, carving out a career, building relationships, and pursuing material fulfillment, but at some point, something inside you began to change. What once seemed important begins to lose its luster, and a sense of dissatisfaction arises. It is not about ingratitude or not valuing your achievements, but about realizing that they are not enough to satisfy your soul. This disconnection from worldly values is a clear sign that you are being called to something much greater, something that cannot be found in material things. At this stage, many chosen ones begin to turn inward, seeking deeper answers. You may have felt a growing desire to meditate, reflect, or spend more time in solitude, away from the noise and distractions of the world. This impulse is not an escape, but a call to reconnect with your essence. The more you listen to this inner voice, the more you realize that it is guiding you to a purpose that goes beyond appearances. It's as if you're being quietly prepared for something that's yet to come. These moments of introspection are often accompanied by a strengthening of your intuition. It may be that during your adult life, you have begun to trust more that inner voice that has always guided you. Perhaps you made important decisions based on a gut feeling, ignoring the logical advice of those around you, and surprisingly, those decisions turned out to be the right ones. This strengthening of intuition is one of the clearest signs that you are aligning with your true purpose. Another sign that becomes clearer in later life is the attraction to people and experiences that are in tune with your spiritual journey. As you move away from certain relationships or situations that no longer serve you, you begin to notice that new people come into your life almost as if they were sent by an unseen force. These people bring with them a fresh perspective, help light the way, and offer support in ways you didn't expect. These often spontaneous connections are a sign that you are being guided and supported by forces beyond what we can see. It may be that during this time, you have started to have even more vivid dreams or have experienced an increase in synchronicities. Perhaps you have noticed that all of a sudden, certain spiritual themes have started to appear frequently in conversations, books, or even on social media, as if the universe is trying to send a message. These moments are a reminder that you are on the right path and that even in times of doubt, there is a greater force guiding you. In addition, many chosen ones begin to feel an unwavering need to help others. This desire to serve does not come from a place of ego, but from a feeling that you have been given gifts and skills that can make a difference in people's lives. It may be that throughout your adult life, you have been attracted to careers or projects that involve healing, spiritual guidance, teaching, or any other form of service. This need to help others is a clear reflection that you are beginning to understand the purpose for which you were chosen. It is important to note that while many chosen ones face challenges throughout their lives, these challenges are never in vain. Every obstacle, every moment of pain or doubt serves to strengthen and prepare you for what is to come. It can often feel like the weight of responsibility is too great, but remember that you are never alone on this journey. Even in the most difficult moments, there is an invisible force that supports, guides, and protects you. Many chosen ones, upon reaching this stage of adulthood, begin to realize that their journey is not just about themselves. Yes, personal growth and spiritual awakening are essential, but ultimately, the mission of a chosen one is to impact the world around them. Whether it's through small acts of kindness, words of wisdom, or acts of service, you're here to make a difference. And, as he advances on this path, he begins to realize the impact of his actions on the lives of those around him. Another concrete sign that arises in adult life is the feeling that your presence makes a difference in the environments you are in. You may have noticed that when you enter a room, the energy changes. People seem to feel calmer, more heard, or even inspired just by being around them. That is your inner light radiating. Even if you are not aware of it, your presence, your way of being, is part of what makes you a chosen one. You don't have to make grandiose gestures or statements. Just by being who you are, you already transform the environment and impact the lives of the people around you. As you continue on this journey, you begin to understand that the signs that emerged in childhood and adolescence were actually preparing you for this moment. Every dream, every intuition, every sense of protection in times of danger was guiding you so that, in adulthood, you could fully embrace your purpose. Now, when you look back, you can see the big picture, the plan that was in place from the beginning. As you move through adulthood, you begin to realize that each of the challenging experiences you have faced has been in some way an essential step in your transformation. One of the most obvious signs that you've been chosen is how challenges seem to shape your life more intensely than in the lives of others. Unlike those who live in automatic mode, never stopping to reflect deeply on life, you have always been led to look beyond the surface, to understand the reasons behind each experience, even those that at first glance seemed unfair or meaningless. This search for meaning is what continues to guide him. From an early age, you felt that there was something more, something bigger at stake. In childhood and adolescence, you may have felt this restlessness, but it was in adulthood that this calling really began to take shape. The obstacles that have arisen along your journey, whether emotional, professional, or spiritual, serve to shape you, not break you. You've begun to realize that the more challenging the situation, the greater the opportunity for growth. One of the most concrete signs that you have been chosen is how, after each crisis, you have emerged with more clarity, more strength, and more wisdom. Often, the people around you may have looked at you with admiration, not understanding how you managed to overcome certain situations that, for others, could have been devastating. What they don't see is the internal process you've gone through, the process of resilience, of deep questioning, and of searching for answers within yourself, something most people aren't willing to do. Another clear evidence that you've been chosen is how time seems to work in your favor. There may have been times when you felt like everything was falling apart, but somehow, at the last minute, a new opportunity arose, a solution appeared, or an unexpected path opened up. This is not just a matter of luck, but a reflection that you are being guided. Time for the chosen ones has a unique way of working. He does not obey external pressures or expectations. Instead, it seems that the universe organizes the events in your life according to what is best for your spiritual growth. Many chosen ones report that, throughout their adult lives, they began to perceive clear signs of divine protection in times of great need. It may have been an experience where you were about to make a decision that would have had disastrous consequences, but for some reason, something stopped you, or maybe it was an accident avoided by a split second. These moments, which could easily be attributed to chance, are actually concrete signs that you are being guided and protected by unseen forces. In addition, there is the issue of intuitions that have become almost impossible to ignore over the years. You may have noticed that your intuitive perceptions have become stronger and clearer. Perhaps you began to rely on these intuitions to make important decisions, even when those choices went against the advice of others or even logic, and surprisingly, these intuitions turned out to be correct. This is one of the greatest gifts of the chosen, the ability to sense the right path, even when everything around them seems uncertain. This intuition is not a mental trick, but the result of a deep connection to something greater, a wisdom that transcends ordinary reasoning. Another clear sign that you have been chosen is your ability to transform the environment around you, often without even realizing it. You have the power to change the energy of a place simply by your presence. It may be that when you enter a space loaded with tension or anxiety, the people around you start to feel calmer, more centered, without you having to say a word. This is a reflection of the light that you carry within yourself. Your energy, even in silence, has the power to influence others in subtle but powerful ways. In addition, many chosen ones report that over time, their choices begin to have a deeper impact on the people around them. It may be that throughout your adult life, you have begun to notice that people come to you for guidance, advice, or simply to hear your words of encouragement. Perhaps you have realized that your words carry more weight than you imagined, as if they were imbued with wisdom that goes beyond your own life experience. That's one of the clearest ways to recognize a chosen one, the ability to touch people's lives in ways you don't always realize. Many chosen ones also experience a sense of being called to serve in a greater way. This can manifest as a deep desire to help others, whether it's through specific work, volunteering, or simply being there for those in need. This desire to serve is not motivated by vanity or the need for recognition, but by an internal sense that this is your mission, and the more you align yourself with this desire, the more doors open for you to fulfill this calling. As you move forward, a chosen one's journey can also be marked by an increase in spiritual sensitivity. You may have begun to notice that your connection to the spiritual realm has become stronger. This can manifest itself in many ways, through sharper intuition, vivid dreams that bring clear messages, or even more intense spiritual experiences, such as feeling the presence of something divine around you. This sensitivity is not a burden, but a gift that allows you to navigate the world in a more conscious and more connected way. Often, the chosen ones are also those who face the greatest tests. It may seem unfair, but these trials are actually preparation for something greater. The greater the mission, the greater the responsibility, and the difficulties you have faced throughout your life have been tools to strengthen you. Think of every loss, every failure, every moment of doubt. All of these events, however painful they may have been, serve to shape your soul, to prepare you for the mission you carry. And while the weight of these trials was great, they also provided him with a depth of character and resilience that is now visible to everyone around him. As you continue your journey, it is common for chosen ones to feel a sense of isolation, even when they are surrounded by people. This is not a sign that you are wrong or going in the wrong direction. In fact, this feeling of loneliness is often a reflection of the fact that you are walking a unique path. While others may be more concerned with mundane issues, you are focused on a deeper spiritual journey, and this can take you away from ordinary concerns. However, it is important to remember that this isolation does not last forever. Over time, you start to attract other people who are on the same journey as you. These people may appear in unexpected ways, perhaps a new friend, a colleague, or even someone you meet by chance. These encounters are not coincidences, they are part of the larger plan. The universe always finds ways to bring you those who can support you and help you grow. As you move forward on this path, the signs become clearer and clearer. You begin to realize that experiences that once seemed painful or confusing were actually preparing you for something greater. With each step, you get closer to your true purpose, and the more you align with that purpose, the more you realize that you are exactly where you should be. As you continue to walk this path as a chosen one, you begin to understand that the journey is not about reaching a final destination, but about steady growth and evolution. One of the most powerful signs that you are a chosen one is the way you deal with this evolution, with openness, acceptance, and the understanding that each step of the journey, no matter how challenging, is part of the plan. It's not about reaching a point where everything is resolved, but about understanding that your mission is constantly developing, and this is something that will continue until the end of your life. Now that you have matured spiritually, you have begun to realize that the signs that appeared in childhood and adolescence were not isolated. Every intuition, every premonition, every synchronicity was a piece of a much larger puzzle. You were molded for this moment, prepared from an early age to take on a role of spiritual leadership and influence, even if at the time you did not understand what it all meant. Many chosen ones, upon reaching spiritual maturity, begin to experience a new form of connection with the world. You may have noticed that their presence has a much greater impact than before. Even without speaking, without acting explicitly, the people around you begin to feel your energy. They are drawn to your light, to your wisdom, and they seek guidance, comfort, or simply a word of encouragement from you. This type of influence is not something you actively seek, but is a natural consequence of your alignment with the divine purpose. As you move forward on this journey, one of the strongest signs that you have been chosen is the clarity you begin to have about your purpose. Perhaps at first it was difficult to identify exactly what his role was, but now the pieces are starting to fall into place. You understand that your mission is not necessarily about grand gestures or extraordinary deeds in the eyes of the world, but about the way you touch the lives of those around you, whether by words, actions, or simply your presence. This clarity also brings a sense of peace, something you may have never experienced before in such depth. Throughout your life, there have been moments of doubt, internal struggle, and deep questioning, but now you find yourself accepting that each of these phases has been essential to your growth. The peace that emerges is not the absence of challenges, but the understanding that regardless of what happens, you are on the right path, protected, and guided. Another sign that many chosen ones begin to notice at this stage is the strengthening of their connection with the divine. Perhaps you have experienced times when the presence of God or the higher force you believe in has become almost tangible. This may have occurred in times of prayer, meditation, or even in everyday situations, when you felt a greater force guiding, protecting, and showing the way. These moments are not coincidences, they are clear signs that your mission is aligned with a higher spiritual purpose. Finally, one of the most powerful signs that you are a chosen one is the way you begin to see the world and the people around you. You understand that everyone is on their own journey, that each person has their own challenges and lessons to learn, and with that comes deep compassion. You no longer feel the need to judge or criticize, but instead offer love and understanding. This is the true power of a chosen one, the ability to see beyond appearances, to understand the soul's journey, and to offer support, however silently, to all who cross their path. Now, when you look back at everything you've been through, from childhood with the first signs of intuition and sensitivity, to adulthood with challenges and spiritual growth, you realize that it was all part of a larger plan. Every moment of pain, every difficulty, every victory, has brought you to this point, and now, with all the experience you have accumulated, you are ready to fully embrace your mission. You are a chosen one. This is not a title of privilege, but a responsibility to bring light to the world, to be a beacon to those who are lost, to inspire and to serve with humility. Your journey has not been easy, but every step has prepared you for this moment. Now the world needs your light, your wisdom, and your presence. The journey continues, but now you walk with a clarity and confidence that didn't exist before. Every step you take reflects your divine purpose, and with that assurance, you know that you are exactly where you should be, doing exactly what you have been called to do.